What's going on, guys? This is Andrew,
I'm Jason.
and this is Movie Source.
Today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free movie review of Star Wars Episode 7.
The Force Awakens. Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens stars Daisy Ridley as Rey, John Boyega as Finn, and is directed by J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams did such films as Super 8, Mission Impossible 3, Star Trek Into Darkness. He also wrote one of my personal favorites from the early 90s, Taking Care of Business, with James Belushi and Charles Grodin. What were your initial thoughts, Jason, of the film?
Wow, I was pretty blown away. I was expecting this movie to be very good, but it was actually better than I thought it was going to be.
My first initial thoughts were, just being in the theater, I couldn't believe I was seeing a Star Wars film again, and I was just blown away. I was so happy, and for me, I just wanted the film just to be better than the prequels and just be Star Wars again. That was my main thing, and it was. I felt like I was watching Star Wars again, and I loved it so much. The acting was phenomenal. I loved how we came back to physical sets, not all blue screen and green screen. That was much better. I thought the direction was fantastic. You could see, again, give credit to the actors for the fantastic performances, but you also got to give credit to J.J. Abrams for bringing out these fantastic performances.
Definitely.
So, but I thought the chemistry between the new cast and then infusing the old cast with the new cast, I thought it was blended beautifully together, and it was a really good film. I also liked how they paid homages to some of the original films, which we will go much more into detail, like you said, in the spoiler review, which will be coming up soon. The tone was really well done. I thought there was some light tones, there were some dark tones.
The movie was really funny too. A lot of scenes had the right amount of humor, not too far and not too little, but a lot of the jokes actually hit.
It wasn't forced humor. It was natural. It felt like it was part of the story as opposed to trying to get laughs out of us.
Exactly.
So, absolutely, and I felt.
And some of that humor also helped kind of develop the character development between at least the two main characters for sure, and a lot of the secondary characters too.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And also the cinematography on this film,
so great.
I felt like I was really in space. Or
there's some scenes where like you're kind of zooming in through the ship, and then it ends up on like a character's face, and then it goes right to them, and they deliver this perfect line. I thought the cinematography
and also
was
some
fantastic.
of the shots of like the Falcon going through the desert and Jakku was just
very
so well
done.
shot. I loved it. I really loved some of the shots that they had where they're following the ship. Like, again, I felt like we were really flying with the ship. It was a real cool upgraded version of what they could do back in the 70s and 80s. Definitely. Without it feeling CGI. It felt like we were really physically there with the Millennium Falcon or whatever ship that was flying in the scene. I love the way the cameras were used.
Again, well, that's what I thought overall with this movie. I just felt like everything was so real. Obviously, there was a lot of CGI, but it didn't feel like CGI right in your face. Everything just felt so big, so lifelike. A lot of the shots they used were just very wide scale. You could just see so much in every shot. Absolutely. Very beautiful.
Absolutely. And also adding to your point, to me, the best CGI is when you don't notice it.
One thing for me was the score. From the very second the movie opened, I noticed the score right away. There's a lot of familiar themes, but a lot of new themes too. Score for me is always a big thing. I think it just adds so much to the movie. It adds feeling, it adds tone, it just makes you anticipate things. I thought John Williams did a fantastic job as usual.
Well, yeah, I completely agree with you. And also, just talking score, this isn't just a normal score. This is Star Wars, and it's John Williams. I don't remember anything as memorable as Return or Empire or Star Wars, but I definitely enjoyed some of the newer themes. It's how many more memorable themes can you come up with, right?
I know.
But I definitely enjoyed the score in this film a lot. I'm looking forward to buying the soundtrack and just listening to it more. Let's go into some characters, Jason. Me personally, my favorite character was Poe Dameron. Granted, we didn't get a ton of scenes with him. The scenes we did get with him, I loved his sense of humor. I could relate. I could definitely relate to the character a lot. I loved how he, no matter what the danger was, you never felt like that he was scared.
Right.
He wasn't ever in fear of his life, but he was fighting for a good cause, and he didn't care. He was going to die for the mission. He had no fear.
Well, I thought every scene that he was in was purposeful, and it did the right thing to drive the story along and drive his character. You got a sense of kind of who he was even in the small amount of scenes that he was in.
What'd you think of John Boyega's character?
I thought
Finn?
he was really good. I wasn't sure what to think about him at first, like from the trailers and all that, but I thought he was fantastic in this movie. All his lines were delivered in a way that I didn't know that this guy was going to be like, but I really enjoyed his character.
Absolutely. I thought also like you said, John Boyega's performance. I felt like I definitely related to a lot of just his body language too. You could definitely feel what the character was going through and and understood his motivations. And just by the end of the film, I wanted to see more John Boyega. He's definitely one of my favorite characters. So.
And I thought the chemistry between him and Daisy Ridley was great.
Absolutely,
Great.
Definitely. They definitely did well together.
There's a couple scenes where they're both like talking back and forth like seamlessly, and it just fit perfectly.
Absolutely. They definitely have great chemistry. No, absolutely. I can't wait to see more films to adapt more on that chemistry. So Daisy Ridley as Rey, fantastic. I had never heard of Daisy Ridley before the film came out. She blew me away, and I thought she was fantastic.
She was really good.
Yeah, her acting was great. She did a fantastic job moving the story and the plot along.
I thought she was just very believable as a character. All the emotions she was feeling in the movie, she conveyed perfectly, and I was feeling the same thing that she was feeling. And she just, I don't know, I thought she was great.
Of course, we got to talk about Harrison Ford coming back as Han Solo. And I got to tell you, just watching the film, Han Solo is back.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like the same old Han Solo like from the original films. It's actually, 30 years later Han Solo. He's a little bit wiser, a little more old, a little more grizzly.
I'm very happy that they didn't make the character the exact same way 30 years later. He's adapted to his age. He's a little older. He's wiser. I definitely like that they didn't keep him the same. That was a very smart move on their part. I can't explain just how happy I was seeing Han back. It was like I was like a little boy again in the theater, felt like. So I was just very happy seeing Han back, of course.
And not to mention Chewbacca, too.
Yeah, Chewbacca. You got Peter Mayhew came back as Chewbacca. I mean, again, just seeing them together, the banter, the chemistry was... I felt like a little kid in the
Classic
theater.
Star
again.
Wars.
I know, I just...
realized 30 years later.
I couldn't get enough of those scenes. I just wanted more. So I was very happy to see them back. And we also had Carrie Fisher coming back as Princess Leia, General Leia Organa. Sorry, she's no longer a princess anymore. I thought she delivered a great performance. Also, we got to mention Adam Driver as Kylo Ren. I thought he delivered a great performance. My personal concern, I was worried, might be Darth Vader 2.0. He did fantastic. He was a very, very evil villain. He was scary. I loved that voice box that he had when he had the mask on. It was a really great performance, and I really felt his presence as a villain. It felt like Star Wars. That was my main contention. I just wanted it to be better than the prequels.
Which it was.
Which it was. And I wanted it to feel like Star Wars.
Which it did.
It did. I felt like a little boy in my movie theater seat. I was so happy.
It was great. Brings back a lot of the nostalgia you feel from watching the old movies, but at the same time, a lot of new discovery and wanting more from what they're giving you now.
I love how they left some things unanswered.
And it's a good thing, because then you have that wanting, that yearning to come back and watch the next movie. Not that you wouldn't anyway, but it just gives you that little push that you really need.
Absolutely. And unless this was the end of the whole entire trilogy, I'm very happy that some things were left unopened as opposed to everything being explained and told to us. And
Right.
a big thing I loved in this film, a lot less telling us and sitting around as like the prequels and more showing us things. You know what
exactly.
I mean? I don't mind exposition in films, but I don't like exposition that tries to move the plot along where you're telling us about events.
And especially when there's exposition in every scene and every single dialogue point.
I assume we're talking about the prequels now a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, I love this film. I can't wait to see it 3, 4, 5 more times. Like we said 4 or 5 different times on this video, we're going to be having a spoiler review of this film in the next day or so. Please be on the lookout for that, where we will go into great detail about many scenes. We're also going to be making some predictions about what we think is going to happen for episode 8. We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that as well when we do that video. Obviously on this video, like we've said many times, it is a non-spoiler review, so please have some respect for the people who have not seen the film. On the comments below, please do not post any spoilers for people who have not seen it. Jason,
Good call.
You got anything else to add, bud?
Go see this movie. You're gonna have fun.
I agree with it. I agree.
It's not just a good Star Wars movie. It's a good movie by itself. It's a well-made film. Everything about it, I thought, was just...
Absolutely, no, I agree. If it wasn't a Star Wars film, I would still say this movie was great. I enjoyed it. Absolutely.
Definitely.
And it's going to be more fun to, see it a few more times, dissect the film a little more for sure. But for me,
Dive in deep.
yeah, for me personally, it's my third favorite Star Wars film after Empire and New Hope. I think you were telling, what were you saying it was?
I need to see this movie a couple more times before I really judge it, but I love this movie.
Oh, I loved it too. It was fantastic, and I can't wait to see it many more times. So, Jason, let's rate this film. What score would you give it?
I'm going to have to give this movie a 9.2 out of 10.
It's a pretty good score. I'm going to give it a 9.1 out of 10. Again, I had a great time watching this film. I can't wait to watch it more and dissect it more, as we said earlier. And I will have a much better idea of my score now. But as for right now, 9.1 out of 10.
Who knows? In the spoiler review, once we've seen the movie a couple more times, that might change. But right now, 9 out of 10 seems about right.
Yeah, I agree.
Alright guys, well that's going to do it for this video. Please tell us what you thought about this movie. We would love to hear your thoughts, so comment below. And if you want to see more videos from us, like our upcoming spoiler review of this movie, hit the subscribe button.
See you guys next time.